Remote participation, nobody is participating remotely today. And the next item is the approval of the minutes of our prior meeting. The meeting was on May 19 of 2025. I sent the minutes around on May 26th. Did everybody get them? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Anybody have any changes that they would like to make?
No.
Now, I think under the new rules, I have to ask you individually.
Really?
Martin, do you approve of the minutes?
I approve the minutes.
Ray, do you approve of the minutes?
I do. Yes.
I'm sorry, Rick.
I was confused. I had a moment of self.
Yeah, right. Should I answer, shouldn't I?
That was close. It began with
Yeah,
R.
it's true. It's true.
Sue, do you
I
approve?
do approve the minutes.
Steve, do you approve of the
I do
minutes?
approve the minutes.
And I approve of the minutes, having prepared them. So it was like a small novella. Oh, look who's arrived. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Hello there. Hi.
We have already begun the meeting.
I knew you would.
We did not mention the fact that you are late.
It's not in the record, but it
I
is now.
I was doing Martin Coster a favor.
Ah,
What do you mean?
No.
Oh, she was. She was doing me a favor.
I was.
But still should not be blamed
Then
for
you
that.
are excused.
And I was helping a nonprofit church.
Perfect. Oh, Eaton
She
was.
was
So this
helping
way
the
we'll get a one-way ticket.
Well, that's
good.
one of the men I used to work with, a great guy. He said, when you do good works, you're like buying life insurance for your trip to heaven.
I agree with you 100%, sir. Thank you for all, listen, I don't think you get that late sanction. You were late, and then we were like, we'll wait for you, and you were giving us a plain.
Oh, you're new. Sorry, you're new.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
She's got seniority, honey.
You know what they say, Lisa?
Yes, sir.
Last one in, first.
There's one out. That's
Yeah.
right.
I agree.
Must be the
Thank
heat.
you.
Everyone's punching
everybody's,
today.
yeah, it's okay.
Thank you.
Let's move along.
No crap.
Yes.
The next item on the agenda is the Beach Avenue, the road clearance and the mobility mats. Martin, I think that you were there certainly after I was. I haven't been there a long time.
Yeah, and then Lisa and I happened to take a ride around. Lisa wanted to see, she asked me for, to take a little tour, and we thought we'd go down there and take a look. So it was in good shape. The mats were brought far enough down as you requested,
Yeah?
so that the wheelchair could make it up there.
Oh, good.
And
How about the geogrids? Are they still in good shape?
they're in pretty good shape, yep. I don't think there's anything really need to be done unless sand gets swept over there.
Oh, good. And the handicap parking spaces,
It was, the handicap parking spaces were up, and actually there was a car in it, and we parked next to it, so it was fine.
how do the signs look?
Fine, there's two of them. I think there used to be three, but there's really technically supposed to be only two spaces down there, I believe, so there were two. No, that was about, when did we go? About 3 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago? 3
3
weeks ago?
weeks ago.
Yeah, so whatever's happened after 3 weeks since then, I don't know. Sue, have you been down?
I haven't been down
No.
since, probably 2 weeks ago.
Oh, let me say something also. At River Day, which we'll talk about in a minute when we're there, somebody came up to us and said, well, it came up to me, I don't know if Lisa heard it or was there, and she said, we're so glad that there are mats down there at the Nubble. I went
Yes.
down there, did you remember that? I was so
Yes.
proud to hear that somebody
Yes.
recognized it and is using it.
We got so much positive.
I mean, I know they are, but it's nice to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
But to answer your question though, with Baby Beach, Beach Avenue, we've been there specifically to not only check to see if the Moby mats were out, but the handicap signs, accessibility. Martin wanted to make sure that all the conditions were pristine, and they all were. We were welcomed with open arms, to be honest with you, at every single location that we went to. And everything, I was actually asked Martin to go because I needed to familiarize myself with the different locations. Rather than looking on a map, it's so different when you're physically there.
Like, she didn't know where Baby Beach was, for example, so,
No.
we took a ride by there.
So we kind of made a day of it, and I promised to buy him an ice cream, which I did. And,
That was the only way to get me in the car, to drive all over Westport for a couple hours.
What?
Gotta have ice cream.
oh, we had fun. We had
No, it was good. It was very good.
Martin, did Ross Moran ask you for any additional mobility mats for access?
I think no, he didn't, and I think I thought he wrote me an email saying that he didn't need them.
Okay, and I think part of the problem might be because of the shifting sands,
Yes.
that they don't have as much place to put the mats down as they used to. So that means that they might have enough mat without having to ask you for more.
They're there and they're available whenever he needs or anybody else for that matter.
Did you actually go out onto the mobility mats and
Yes.
down to the beach?
Yes. Well, not onto the beach, but as far as the mats go. You know they don't go all the way into the beach. They go into the sand, which I'm not so sure
There's a few feet. Where
how good that is.
Yeah, there's a few feet of distance between that and the water.
Yeah, because the one time that I was there, the mats were sort of parallel to the water, but they extended for a good distance so that I could get my wheelchair up and on and down the mats for a
You
while.
could get your wheelchair on the mats, but once you get off of them onto the beach area, you're not going anywhere.
No.
Or you can't, right?
No,
There's really no place to go, though. You know what I mean? Even if we extended the mats further, there's not really any solid place for a wheelchair to sit itself there,
No, I don't think.
right?
no.
So one time I went and there was a gentleman with his wife
Oh, yeah.
right at the end of the long,
Yeah.
the one that goes to the rocks straight ahead. And they just love sitting there looking at the water and enjoying it. And I was glad to hear that too.
Yeah, they were just before the Moby mats, which was kind of nice to see. Yes.
And at Baby Beach, also known as North Beach, were the mats down
The mats were down.
and the picnic table?
Well, I got an email in writing from Sean Leach saying the tables are on their way.
Yes.
Or the table is on its way.
Yep.
So let's see what happens. But yeah, they were down. It looked good. The signs are up there and everything's fine.
Well, you know, it's the 50th anniversary of the movie Jaws.
Yeah.
Don't go in the water, Martin.
Oh, the Jaws, yeah.
I stopped swimming at night after that movie came out.
I think a lot of people stopped.
That was a
going in
great
the
movie.
ocean.
I must have
I
watched that movie
just-
5 times. I
Just
love that
wouldn't
movie.
sleep
I think I've watched it at least
Right?
100 times, yeah.
It's so good.
It's a very good movie.
Gave up on that. Okay.
The next thing that I have on the agenda is the annex playground.
Hold on, I want to back up. Can we back up and go over a couple of things?
Sure.
Sorry. Somebody, when we were at, when we were at the River Day, a woman came up to us and said, could you do something about the handicap sign at Cherry and Webb? To be honest with you, I didn't even know there was a handicap sign at Cherry and Webb because I figured not too many people can really go down there, but
They do.
anyway. So Dana also sent me a picture and she said, Martin, could you contact Chris and ask him if he could make a, I sent her this email, Brian. And then this woman was the second one to say, the handicap sign is such a mess there, could somebody replace that? She would like to have had lines there.
Yeah, I haven't been there a long, long time, but my recollection was the handicap spaces were sort of across the street in the overflow lot, all the way down at the end. They had 2 spaces designated for handicap parking. I don't remember seeing a handicap space up in the closer parking.
Yeah, the first spot, like, if you go in that main
Who's that?
lot to the left,
Oh,
the first
on the- we
entrance,
talked-
all the way up to the left, right where there's a breakthrough to the path.
Yep.
Right there, there's
There's one next.
there's at least
One or
one.
two. But there's one on either side of the path.
I think so.
They're in the shade,
Yeah.
which is.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't go to Cherry and Webb, so I don't know exactly where that handicap sign is, but is it right up front or no?
It is
This
right
is the
there.
parking lot, and here's the path to go to the beach.
Yes?
They're like here and here.
That's what I thought.
Here and here.
But Dana only sent me one picture of one sign. So you
Maybe there's
think
only
there's
one.
several there?
There's 4 spots,
At the main parking lot?
I do believe.
Oh.
I think there's 4 spots, 2 on each side.
Well, regardless, there was definitely one sign that needs to be replaced, and I talked to Chris Gonzalez, and he said, well, Chris, I called him, and where is he? In New Hampshire on vacation.
Yeah.
So I said, why don't you not let it go to voicemail? But he said, would you call Evan, his foreman, whom I don't know, you may know him, Almeida, Evan Almeida?
Evan Almeida.
Just,
He's a
would you
nice
send him an email and ask him to make the signs? And I talked to Chris this morning, and he said the signs are being made as we speak. Because one sign was needed there, and Dana also would like to have a sign at the playground, at the new playground, which makes sense. I think there was a handicap parking spot, but it all kind of faded out there, at least on the ground.
playground?
Yeah, no?
Oh,
Am I
yeah,
wrong?
I'm sure there was.
But, so anyway, they're going to take care of both of those spots. And then I want, if you don't mind me moving along, unless you have questions on that, while we were taking our little tour of Westport beaches, we went to Gooseberry Island, and of course, Lisa Feidelberg Costa knows the state gentleman who was walking around picking up trash and keeping an eye on everybody. And we asked him about the mats there, because do you remember, Brian, last year, I talked to the supervisor, Mr. McGee, that there was no Moby mats going down. They wanted wheelchairs to go down the boat ramp, which I thought was dangerous and ridiculous. So they did put them down last year, but they were not down when we went on our trip. But he said that they were supposed to come out on Memorial Day. I didn't check after that, so put the pressure on anyway, so those should be down.
Who was gonna put them down?
That's the state. State does that.
Yeah, and he reassured us that as soon as they come in, that he would make sure that they get out.
I have to take a ride by there and take a look at that.
Yeah.
And that's just at the boat ramp?
Gooseberry Island.
Gooseberry Island, right alongside the boat ramp, there's a little path they put in there, and then they had, it's actually kind of nice because the Moby mats stop, and on this beach, there is a place where the wheelchairs could possibly go. It's
Exactly.
kind of matted down, you know what I'm saying? It's a little bit more firm,
Right,
so,
The sand is packed hard.
yeah, it's packed out.
but there's no way for a disabled person to get on the trail that goes all the way out to the end of Goose.
Oh, no,
Oh,
there
no.
isn't.
Where you can go up that fire escape kind of thing?
Yes,
Is
the
that
lookout
what-
tower.
Yeah, the
Lookout tower.
lookout tower, no.
I talked to him about that, and he just said it was not doable for whatever reason.
They just need to move a couple of rocks, and that road is perfectly passable.
I was just
So,
gonna say that.
Well, that's not true. Are you talking about to the lookout tower?
Not all the way to the lookout tower.
Because it dips down and gets really sandy there, and I think a wheelchair would really bog down there. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
about
talking
halfway out. it gets-
About halfway out, you're right.
But
But the rest is, yes.
rest of it's
yes.
pretty good, yeah.
Matter of fact, I noticed I was walking, because I'm always looking down my canes, that there was tar there at one point.
oh, that was the old road, yeah.
I didn't realize that,
Yeah.
but they said they wouldn't tar it. I asked Mr. McGee if they would do that. Oh, no, whatever. So I don't know if we're ever going to get out there. That's a state project anyways, it's not really ours. And then we just happened to be going by the campground, and you know I used to own Westport Camping Ground, so I love to take a look at a campground, and so we decided to drive into the state campground. And we
Yes.
stopped, and we spoke with the
Ryan.
whoever, he's like the office manager, well, he's not really the manager, but he's somebody who works in the office, right?
Yeah.
And they showed us on the map where the handicap accessible campsites are now, which is fantastic. I mean, we didn't even have that at the campground, don't tell anybody.
And we have maps for everybody too, like if anybody was to ask, we took photographs of everything, and they actually gave us the actual footprint. So we're gonna send them to everyone in case someone asks you personally. This way you'd be able to hand them out on behalf of the campground.
Yeah, it was a nice little tour, and then we went into the bathrooms to check the bathrooms out.
Yeah.
Those are interesting. The handicap accessible, sort of, semi.
Yeah.
Like if you go in it, the toilet is, in the men's room, the toilet is like here, and then the shower's right here.
Yeah.
But that would be okay, you know, if you have privacy to close the door, you know, if you're in there by yourself. It's better than nothing, I suppose, but it's not ADA
You couldn't fit a
compliant.
wheelchair in there.
No, it's not ADA
No,
compliant.
you couldn't fit a wheelchair in there,
Oh,
but
just down.
if the person could get out of the wheelchair, they have plenty of room in the whole room itself, but not necessarily
In the
where they would
stall.
take a shower
Yeah.
and shut the stall. So, but again, I
In the
mean,
women's, there's a handicap toilet area that's accessible. I don't.
But
think
not
there's
with a
a separate
wheelchair.
shower
Yeah.
in there.
The-
But there are showers on the other
Other
side.
That's
side,
right, you're right,
yes.
yes.
yeah, but again.
And those are
even-
accessible.
Even the bathroom.
No? Kind of, sort of?
Well, they're just small.
Yeah, they're old.
Yeah, you're
So, you
supposed,
know, if you could do like a slide, if you could do a stand pivot, you could do it. If you could do a slide board chancellor, you could do it. If you're a dependent lift, you could not do it.
no,
Yeah, good point.
yeah, you can't get the wheelchair in there.
However, they did have Moby mats going out
Yeah.
to the beach almost everywhere. And you know what I mean? It was, they really took that, all through the park. Yeah.
You can go from the water all the way to
That's
the
right.
back by Moby
Yeah.
Mat. I mean, you have to go like here and then like here and then like here, but you
Yes.
can get to the playground, you can get,
All in all, I was impressed with it. I
yeah,
really
it's
was.
nice, it's a nice.
Yeah, very nice, very clean, you know? And then for the fun of it, as we were at Baby Beach, we decided to stop at the yacht club. I sat in the car. She went to meet the Commodore, And why don't you tell them what you did?
Oh, I met with the commandant over there, but I know a lot of people at the yacht club, and so.
What yacht club are we talking
The
about?
Westport Yacht Club right next to
Westport
Baby
Yacht Club.
Beach?
Commandant was actually painting out there, and I said, look, they have a handicap ramp there. So he was like, hello, how are you? And then his assistant came from Fall River, so I ended up knowing them. But anyway, they were very gracious. They were super excited that we actually stopped and introduced ourselves. I've been invited to one of their board meetings to talk about, what we do here with with our Disabilities Commission. They're very open to that, and they really want to be able to support us in anything that we do in the future, and they also want to share what we do with their membership and the general public that they actually have come there, for open meetings. So the gentleman's name is Gary, I'm going to spell the last name, Swainemer, Swainemer.
Sweetener.
Yeah. And
Swainemer, yeah.
he was awesome, very supportive, and I actually spoke to him today, and he's going to be sending me the invite for their next meeting.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so I think they want to do everything they can. They actually expanded their handicap parking spaces where they normally have two, like right up front. They actually have a whole row, and it's kind of set back from the front entrance, and they're all handicap parking spaces, and they're all marked appropriately for all of their members, because, the yacht club is a private club.
Right.
But they embrace the disabilities, people with disabilities, and of course our commission. They just kind of want to get to know us a little better.
Oh, good.
Okay, Brian, I'm sorry to take over your agenda.
Hey, you are the vice chairman. You can do whatever you want
Oh,
to.
well, in that case,
Yeah. Circling back to Horse Neck, speaking of handicap spaces, the beach there has multiple handicap spaces.
Right up front.
yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And there is a wonderful walk. You can go from one end all the way up to the end of the campground.
Yes.
And they have since paved that walk, so it's
Yeah.
much easier to get along if you're in a wheelchair.
That's so true.
Years ago, when my wife and I did the walk, there were ruts every
Oh, no kidding.
20 or 30
Oh.
feet, where one section of asphalt ended and then the next one began. So every time you came to a rut, I had to be turned around, otherwise I would have got down and taken a flop. But since then, they have paved the whole thing, and it is a beautiful spot to go if you are in a wheelchair and you want to get out and take a look at the water.
They have benches too, which I was pleasantly surprised, because as you walk, for
That's
me
right.
anyway, I can't walk a very long distance, but short distances I'm okay. But it's nice that they actually have the benches, so when you do get tired, you can actually sit on a bench now and continue your walk.
Right, and for people with disabilities who want to get out of their houses,
Right.
and they don't have to go too far,
Nope.
and if you have your handicap placard or your plate, you get into the beach for free.
Yep.
You don't have to pay the money, and then you can get up on that walkway and you can enjoy the water and the sand. Yeah. Surprisingly, though, Horse Neck Beach is losing a lot of its sand, so
Yeah.
there are a lot of rock.
I think they did some work there over the winter, because I was there, in the winter I walk my dogs there, and it appeared that they regained a fair amount of sand this year. I don't know if they did some gravel removal.
I think they did. I think you're
What?
right.
But
But
sometimes
not
they-
great, but it's better than, a couple of years ago I went and I thought, this is such a shame. This used to be such a pristine beach, and it was just rock.
Well, many places will do beach replenishment. They will take
Yeah.
the sand from,
Yeah, maybe they took it from a dune and put it over, I don't
Yeah.
know, but it looked better.
oh, good,
It's not like it used to be, but it's better.
until Mother Nature takes
Yeah,
notice.
it takes it away again, yeah, I know.
Hey, you know what? We're talking about these beaches. Did you have a chance to find a chair that we could order? I think we should move on that pretty soon.
Okay, yeah, I found one.
Oh, good.
And I
Wheelchair.
thought we were waiting
A
until.
beach chair. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I thought we were waiting until you were gonna go to the thing in Brighton.
Oh, guess what?
You didn't go.
Canceled.
No, they canceled it because of the
Okay.
thunder and
Thunderstorms. I
lightning.
was so disappointed. They called me and I said, will you be doing it tomorrow? And she says, no,
Okay.
not till next year. So
I can
you're
send
right.
that
We
back
did
out
say
again.
that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's okay. I'll send that, I can send that back out again. I have a couple of different ones
Okay.
that depend on how much money we want to spend.
We'll take a look at it
From
and,
like 1,600 to 5,000.
oh,
Cool. Like everything else, right?
yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
Which one do we want?
and I may have exchanged this email or text with other people, but Martin and I have been back and forth on it. And once the current beach wheelchair gets repaired or we get a new one, which
Right.
is more likely, we have to figure out where to keep it,
Right?
Yep.
how to get somebody to sign it in and out.
Yep.
And how to get it to the beach. Whose responsibility is it to get,
Yeah.
you know,
It's going to have to be the person's responsibility. I hate
Right,
to
I
say,
get
right? Because
that.
who else could do it? No town employee or department could do
well,
it.
I agree, but if that's the case, then,
How often do we really, people are going to?
Right.
and we have, if they're going to use it, they should sign some sort of release.
Right. And we do know that that State Beach has several of them.
That's right.
So I think we need to investigate it and then think about one of the ones that I saw comes apart. So the wheels come apart, the frame breaks down.
Oh, you mentioned that. That's a good idea. That might
So
work.
that you could, if you had an SUV or something, and most people that have somebody in a chair do have some type of adaptive
Good point. Good point.
van or something, or a vehicle large enough to keep a chair. We could do that. That's one of the higher end ones, but, we could certainly do that. Or do we not bother and just refer people to to State Beach?
State Beach.
Which
Yeah,
I hate
yeah.
to do that. I hate to push somebody like, you can't, I know you want to go to the town beach, and everybody in your family wants to go to town beach, but you have to go to State Beach, like
But
that's
the problem
wrong
is,
with me.
you can't get the cherry and web
Right.
unless you want to
push
break it
all the
apart.
way through.
It's impossible to push it, all the way up and
Right.
down.
No, I meant if you got it at State Beach, and you'd have to push it all the way to town.
Right.
Via the water line.
Yes, yes.
Right.
yes.
And that'd be the only way
That'd
you
be-
could do it, really.
Right, right.
Well,
Put it on the post.
technically, you could go the road all the way to Baker's, but that's just like wouldn't be.
That's way too far. Oh, no, no.
Yeah, it's
So-
quite a haul.
Yeah,
And it's not usable at Nubble because there's not enough of a break in the
right, to get it through.
gate. So, yeah, it may be limited. If there's limited access and then limited interest, then are the funds better off
Used
deployed
somewhere else.
Somewhere else, yeah.
Right.
So,
But if we get a chair that can be broken apart,
There was a chair that was broken apart.
and if you have
That,
an able
if I
body,
remember, it was like $3,000 for that chair.
but if you have an able-bodied person,
Yep, they
drive
could,
you there, they could take the wheelchair out of the back,
right.
put it together, and then you just have to figure out a way to get the disabled person from the car through the opening into the spot where you've got the chair put together.
Right, so at the Nubble, yeah, you might be able to go from the parking lot, from like where we have the geogrids,
Yeah,
there's
you should be
to
able
the
to.
Moby mat.
Yes.
enough of a break where the Moby-Mat is?
I don't know, I'd have to measure it.
Yeah.
We'd have to measure that, because you're right, if these things are pretty wide because the wheels on them
Yeah.
Right.
are really pretty big and fat. So, we can measure it and see what the width is, and then see what the width of that is. I can take that on next week.
Great. You bring the information next month for us?
Sure.
Sure.
Or I'll send it around, because we're not gonna be meeting for a bit, so I can send it around.
Is that right? We're not meeting next month?
Right.
I thought we decided July we weren't.
Did we?
Oh, we didn't decide July 1.
I don't know. That's okay.
I thought we
It
decided
was
that
one of
last
the
one.
things that we're
Wanna
going to
talk
talk
about.
about.
Oh, okay.
Okay, gotcha.
But apparently, people want to just jump ahead.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, I am the vice president, and if I must, I hate to push my authority, but if I have to, I will. What?
And JD, you are vice, not vice. president.
Order.
Yeah.
You're out of order. You're out of order. A whole damn place is out
I
of order.
think it's gone to his head.
Yeah, that has gone to my head. Anyway, that'd be great. I think we should discuss it and decide whether we want to purchase it
Yeah,
or
whether we
not.
wanna
Let's see
purchase
what
it or not.
happens. Yeah, just too bad that I didn't get a chance to see if there was anything there at the,
Yeah.
with you.
No biggie.
Well, yeah, once you, once you determine prices,
Sure.
just let us know, because
Yeah, I'll take some
we-
snippets and send it around to the group.
we have a fair amount of money in our account,
Right.
and the summertime has just started, so we're gonna have more money as people
Mm-hmm.
park in handicap spots without a placard or a license plate. And every year we say, we need to find ways to spend the money.
Yeah, personally, I'm thinking if we're gonna spend the money, we should probably spend the money on the one that can go into the water,
Yeah.
like the loungy kind of chair.
Yeah, that sounds great.
For a few reasons. One, because you want, if we're gonna hopefully get people to really immerse in the ocean and be in part of the beach, you want to be in the water, right?
Yeah,
If
you want that
you're in the water,
experience.
And you want to be in the water. You don't want to be sitting on because you can't because we don't have the right chair.
Yes.
So we'd rather give people availability if we could or couldn't. And then two, if they could take it to Baby Beach, that they definitely could take to Baby Beach. And that would be actually kind of a nice, little bit safer
Easy,
place.
but probably even better.
Because no wave or limited wave action there.
Susan, I have a question.
Yeah.
With regard to the chairs themselves, is it one chair that's adaptable to both an adult and a child, or should we look at a child's chair and an adult chair?
Good point.
The chairs are pretty big. They have chest straps that you could put a child into. They're probably, the ones that I looked at were not only children ones, they were adult ones.
So is
that
it
I
recommended,
looked at.
like, if we were to have one for a
It would be
child?
safer for us to have an appropriate
I
sized
think
one.
so.
And I can do some research into that.
Yeah, I think we should look at both, because I think that there are parents that accompany their children, and I think there's a lot of adults that like to go and watch the waves and not necessarily go into. But when you have kids that really want to participate with their brothers and sisters and family events, I think it would be advantageous to have a child's chair there. And I think once people actually get to see them physically in the water, that might bring more awareness, saying, hey, Westport's doing this, let's go to Westport, because they do have the availability. And that would be my next question. If there was a family member that came with a Westport residence and that particular child or adult was disabled, would they still be able to reserve the right to use it if they were with a resident? Like, say my sister came and she had a disabled child, could we then use the child's chair, even though my sister is not a resident, but I am? I don't know how
think
that
You would
works.
sign it out, the resident would sign it out.
Okay.
and
As long as the resident's responsible.
Yeah,
Right.
the resident would sign it out, the resident would be responsible. and,
Okay.
uh,
And I use that hypothetically. I don't have a sister. I just use that as an example. Just because I didn't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I think, in my experience of working with both PD and adults, most parents just kind of carry their kid into the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
Regardless of the size.
Yeah, yeah.
Because once you get in the water, people are buoyant, and so most adults most kids, that I've worked with, and even young adults. So it's usually, but I certainly think that we could do both. Certainly
Yeah.
look at it for both.
Good
I
point.
agree, because maybe there's some parents that might be timid, and then maybe there might be other family members that would take that responsibility of taking in a child, but
Sure.
some that have spinal cord injuries, or some that have maybe more severe disabilities, I think as a whole, to have something with a safety mechanism
Sure,
is
we can look
something
into it.
to address.
Not a problem.
I've been on this commission a number of years now, and for a long time, I didn't even know that the town had a beach accessible chair.
Sure.
And I don't think I've ever heard of anybody looking for permission to use one. Certainly nobody's approached me or our commission, but hey, do you guys have this chair? So I don't know, number one, if there's a real
Yeah, I don't know
need or
how much you would
desire.
need.
And then number two, if we get one, we certainly need to advertise the fact.
I was going to say that's,
to-
Absolutely.
you gotta get the word out.
Absolutely.
We probably wouldn't want to talk to town council about setting up some type of a liability disclaimer, because ultimately, if somebody put someone in that chair
Good point.
and thought it was like a flotation device, and God forbid something happened.
Something happens, who's responsible? Yeah.
Float out to Cutty Hawk.
Right, they float out to Gunny.
And I think they've done that too, though, with the park, your park, the disability park. I think there's a disclaimer already in place.
What disability park?
The
Playground?
the playground.
Oh,
Playground has that as well.
you would think so, right? If somebody gets hurt in the playground, it's going to have coverage.
It's just
It's probably just a blanket coverage, I would
Right.
think.
Right,
But a good idea to talk
Probably a
about.
boilerplate kind of
but it's,
postage, but
it's there for,
I think when they sign it out, we have some sort of, you're
Well,
taking responsibility, this is
Yeah.
your liability, something happens to the chair, or the,
Just to have a coverage, that's a good idea.
I think we just probably need to run it through town council.
absolutely.
As a retired lawyer, I know that there are
Oh, right, Mr. Attorney, that's the person.
That's right, we got an attorney right here.
There are many, many lawyers looking for business.
I agree.
And
Yeah, that's a
if
good idea.
somebody goes into their office and say, my child got hurt on this chair, what can we do?
Yep.
Well, they're gonna look for somebody to sue.
Absolutely.
The town,
Absolutely.
the Disability Commission, the members of the Disability
Mm-hmm.
Commission. So we definitely would need to have a release of liability, and it's, I don't like saying that, but times have changed,
Yeah, yeah.
and people's attitudes have
I
changed.
agree.
So, it's nice to be able to provide this service for people, but we also need to protect ourselves and the town from potential.
Yeah,
You know
town
what-
council may have a whole different take on this, and not want us to,
Not do it at all. The reverse of that is what happens if somebody takes it and they, ruin it.
same thing. I mean, I think you.
They drop it out of the back of their pickup truck and it's on the highway and it gets run over.
Right.
And if
Huh?
if we're gonna make them sign for it,
Yes,
they're gonna release everybody from liability from the top down, but also say, you are responsible for the chair, and if there's any damage
Right.
to the chair,
Yeah.
you'll be responsible.
okay.
I agree with you.
That makes
And
sense.
the disclaimer is not only for children, but it's for adults as
Oh,
well.
yeah, everybody.
So
Everybody.
it really doesn't matter if it's a child or if it's an adult. There should be a disclaimer in place no matter what. And I do believe, I've seen one on the state level, because they have them sign on the state level as well. They borrow anything from the state. I know that when we did lifeguard training and all of that, even though they paid for the class, everything was at your own risk. So when we provided those classes and swimming classes and all of that, there was also disclaimers a part of that paperwork for many, many years.
Right. And the person signing has to be 18 years or older.
Correct. Correct.
So they can't claim that they didn't understand what the release was.
Yeah. And we would also have a parent sign as well. So even if, just so that they know that they're that it's being witnessed and understood on both parties.
I
When
would,
their paperwork was submitted.
I would suggest just to put a pin in it. We can have Sue look at the pricing for the floating model that can go into the water. Once we're generally on the same page with that, then the next step should probably be town council. Before because we
Yep.
could talk about all the merits of it, but if it's gonna get shot down, then
Yeah, good
might
point.
as well
Right.
Good point.
learn that early.
Yeah. And I
All right.
think we
Sounds
have a
good.
legal department, don't we?
Yes.
That's town
Town
council.
council.
Oh, okay.
That's our town council.
Okay.
Well,
Perfect.
Okay, moving on.
Do you want to run the meeting, Mary?
No, but I wanted to move on.
You are so-
I mean, it's only half an hour to go. What to talk about?
I didn't say that.
Yeah, okay.
So downtown businesses, Martin and I were also asked with many businesses, private and public. People are we're getting the word out based on our commission, and people are very inviting and wanting to meet with us and talk to us. And so we had a very good, we stopped along the way. We went to Handy Hill, we told them what we were doing. Everyone was just really excited that we were out and about based on the commission. So we received a warm welcome when we did this on that day.
Oh, good.
I think it's a good idea to every so often, especially new businesses, to check in and see how things are going. Because I'm still really upset about the country store down the head of Westport that has a parking spot right outside, and yet you can't get in the damn, it's got a 3-inch. And I think there's new owners, right?
new
So,
owners now,
Yeah.
yeah.
well, I think we should approach the new owners.
It has not been, that is not a completed sale yet. Rory still owns it. So there is another
She
meeting
said,
from
well,
what I understand.
as soon as it's completed,
Yeah.
they're supposed to make ADA handicap
have to,
accessible, so
yeah,
we
they
need to make
should.
sure they do.
There is a sign there, just so that you know, there is a sign there. What I find is, believe it or not, that there are people that park in that parking space that do not have a handicap placard and they don't have a license plate.
Yep.
And some people are under the understanding that it has to be marked, you know, with certain lines. To my knowledge, it doesn't have to be marked with certain lines, as long as that there is a sign there, that it is a handicap parking space. And if someone is parking there that does not have those two entities, maybe you can clarify this, Brian. I was under the understanding if they don't have a placard and they don't have a license plate, then they can be fined. Is that correct?
Right,
Okay.
true.
So with that being said, I think, you know, people, especially too, with regards to the store, because Rory has been a great supporter of our community, but even like the trucks that actually deliver to him, they shouldn't actually block that whole strip, you know, where people that are handicapped cannot park there and have accessibility. They should be mindful of that. But that's with any parking, a designated handicap parking
Right,
area as well.
and the parking officer in town can't patrol every single area, every single
Exactly,
space.
exactly. I agree with you 100%. So I think it's a learning. I think it's only been up for a few months anyway. It hasn't always been there. It probably has been there maybe for about, if I had to guess, because I go there almost every day, I'm going to guess and say maybe 6 months. So I think as you know, we're hitting the you know, a high
Busy season.
traffic area, busy season, because it's the summer, you might have, you know, more people that, you know, want to go out for ice cream and be able to park in that area, because there's really not a lot of parking. And I find that sometimes a lot of people speed down there, right? Like right now, the little community down in the head of Westport is more concerned about the people that are not paying attention to the speed. They fly down that
Right.
street, and they do sit there, the police officers do sit there diligently trying to enforce that. But when they park on both sides, and especially, you know, in the summertime, and now you're walking between cars to try to get to the other side, not everyone goes to the crosswalk,
Yep.
it can be a little scary.
Now, the store itself, can you get into it?
Yes.
There's a step.
Well,
Then you
I'm
can,
sorry, I misspoke. You're absolutely right. There is a step, you know, you can't get into it, but once you're into it, you can get around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wide enough to get around, is what I'm trying to say.
They need to bevel out those.
Yes.
I agree, Sue.
Or get them in by the back somehow, but the back is not accessible, is it?
Yes, you shouldn't have to be a different entrance.
no.
I'm
They need to
sorry?
They need to bevel out that.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree. And I think it would be difficult, to be honest with you, to get a wheelchair in there. I don't
Yeah,
really
it's
know.
tiny.
Yeah.
It's tight, but you can get around it. It's 3 feet wide in the aisles there.
No, I'm talking about getting in the front door.
Oh, I think it's wide enough, but anyway,
Yeah.
it should be looked at. My point, bringing that up, is not just that one business, but there may be several businesses like that we should look at. So every so often, to go around and do a little assessment is what we should do.
Yep. I know that one, Pine Hill gas station switched over from
Oh, really?
just
Yeah.
a convenience store. Jeff, the owner, made sure that the entrances were, they all had ramps. So that handicapped people could get in, and there, you know, automatic doors. I've not been inside, so I don't know about negotiating, you know, if you're in a wheelchair. So there are some store owners who were very receptive, and
Yes,
some who were just tone deaf about the whole.
right.
Right. I agree.
Fortunately, we have, you know, you guys on patrol.
Got a little red light that we put on the top of the car, and away we go.
That's right. That's right.
No.
No, but it's
People
you know, it's important that people know that
True.
we talk often, and I feel that a lot of people don't know that we're here. You know what I mean? This is one way to let them know.
Exactly.
Did you know that there's a commission on disability in town? And to approach them in a really nice way, to work with them, not to castigate them, and to try to find things wrong with them, but to say, listen, did you think that we could do this here, or you could do this there to make
We
it a
just
little...
really want to introduce
Yeah.
ourselves as a positive resource, not only to businesses, but the communities. A lot of different organizations, within the town, they don't realize, what each group does. And I just think that, by us getting out, especially during this time, we'll kind of reintroduce ourselves, not only to the community, but to see the good things that we do and the resource material that we obviously have that supports the community and people with disabilities.
When I first joined the commission, and I mentioned to Jeff Bull, who's our advisor about many things, I said to him, how come I didn't get a badge? Should I have a badge? Next thing I know, I saw Jeff and he got me a badge.
Oh, come on, I love it. I love it. That's so funny.
We love that.
With one of our cards for the Commission on Disability.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good deal.
I can at least wave my badge.
Okay, I want one of those.
Yeah.
or-
Oh, gosh.
We
That's
are
all you need.
ordering business cards for everyone, so everyone's gonna get a business card, that'll say that.
We really need that, because,
Yeah.
even when we had people coming up at the River Day, it's nice
Yeah,
to
but
hand out the
Ron-
flyer, but it'd be nice, I know you got the digital one.
That's actually what this is. This is a digital card, because everyone is into technology, and basically you tap someone's phone, and when you tap someone's phone, it gives all of your digital information that you would on a business card, and it takes less than 15 seconds to do. But some people don't maybe want to be, technical.
Yeah.
So we do, with your permission, I have proofs being done. So if people did want to hand out, a business card, that they would be able to hand someone a business card, and it would have our town seal on it. I know at the Council on Aging, we actually did, for all of our board members, we have name tags, because people didn't even know who we were when we were in the center. And sometimes people like to find out any other resources. When we did River Day, I have to honestly say, our booth did not stop from the time Martin and I got there, from 10 o'clock in the morning till 2:30 in the
Yeah,
afternoon.
people stopped by all day.
And it closed at 2. People came over, introduced themselves, took brochures, took us flyers, took everything. We had a game there for the children, because that was a prerequisite to come in.
What'd you do?
I got the cornhole game.
Good idea.
And it's all decorated in red, white, and blue, and we encourage the children to play against their parents. And then the takeaway was, we had like little stakes. They were really cute. They were hand done, donated by the dollar store, which were $1 each, but they gave them to us complimentary. And it was just something that they could remember the disability, our commission by, and they actually got to put it at their home, in their gardens. So some of them got cows, and some of them got ladybugs, and some of them got butterflies.
Cute.
And
The kids are thrilled with it.
parents went crazy over it. They even said, Martin wanted us to do candy. They were like, I'm so glad you didn't do candy. It would have melted anyway.
This is Martin, old-fashioned Martin, saying, I'm looking at these things and I'm going, what are the kids going to do with these things, these garden
And
things?
wasn't it a big
Just a
hit?
minute, please. And I said, why don't you get them candy? And I'm thinking, I don't have any kids. That half the parents don't want kids having candy or sugar or dye. They went nuts for these things. So I just shut up after that. But listen, I'd like to take this opportunity to say, she said she bought the game, she got the dollar donations. So I'd like to, give thanks to her for that. And I didn't, it's hard for me to get up and go play with the kids, but she would go over with the kids and give them the bean bags. It really worked out really well, and Lisa did a wonderful job. So kudos to you.
Thank you. But it was really for the commission.
Yeah, it was.
It was a way for
Oh.
us to
Tell them about how nice it looked, with a nice
Oh, yeah.
tablecloth
We
that
have
said commission.
pictures for everyone, because it was actually our first.
It looked
day
really
there.
nice.
We had the banner, we had.
The banner
our
was behind us.
tablecloth.
You couldn't
Really
miss it.
nice. And every family that came in allowed us to take pictures of them, because they really wanted to be a part of the day and be a part of us. And then in conjunction with that, I know that we have it later on in our little
Agenda.
agenda here, that we did an interview for cable, and the gentleman who did it, he's
He's
sitting
right
right over
there,
here.
David.
Yay.
Yeah.
He actually interviewed us about, not only the commission, but Stroke Buddies and Friends, in addition to the Council on Aging, and
And
which
Cow,
was-
we did Cow.
And Cow,
Cow,
yes,
yeah.
Cow.
Team
And-
Cow, yeah.
And it was just really amazing, not only to participate with other organizations at River Day, but so many of them came up to us and reintroduced if we didn't know them, and if we did, reintroduced themselves to us. And it was just really an amazing day, and it was so well, I mean, it was really hot, you know, so towards the end of the day, it was getting like oppressive, but people came out to participate in the day itself.
Great.
Yeah, I think it was a great opportunity. Now, having that been said, before you move on, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to mention that this is a great way to get the Commission on Disability word out there, and in the future, we'd like to do a few other things, right? I mean, as other, but we can't do it all. So we'd like to ask everybody if they could think about offering even a couple of hours. I mean, I was there for 4 hours, and that's kind of long for me. I need to get up and walk around. I talked to you about that one time, Steve, you know? And I know you guys didn't know about this. I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying, in the future, I think if more of these things come up, more of us need to get involved, and even spend an hour or two there. We can have shifts or whatever.
We were hoping that maybe the commission would consider, like, if we, as we get invited to things, because that's what we're seeing, that more and more people want to invite us to their presentation or their activities day, that maybe in the course of a year, you know, we look at each month, and if you could just maybe donate your time to 2 events that would fit into each of our schedules. So then this way, we look at all the events, you know, for the potential future year, and then, you know, each one of us could maybe, you know, commit to 2 events a year. You know, so in a 12-month time, you know, if it happens to be something that's indoors in the wintertime, that might fit better into your schedule, or that Saturday works best for you, or a Sunday, then you would be able to donate your time accordingly. And I'm looking at it, I mean, we don't really have a scheduled events thing, but from what I understand, they're, in talking to people, that they really do want to invite us to other events. And we thought that if we could do that, whoever's available at any given time during a particular month. Some people might say July is terrible for me. I can't do anything July, but I can do something in September and February. So,
Yeah, I think with enough planning and notice, then there's a willingness from everybody to participate, so.
yeah.
Good, thank
As
you.
long as we've got awareness of what's being planned.
Yeah, I think sometimes too, with respect to that, we find out meetings last minute. Like, we found out the trail meeting where they actually wanted someone from Disability Commission was a last minute thing. And my poor colleague over here was like trying to get home from work so he could shower and be presentable to get there. But we managed to get there at 4 o'clock. But we literally had less than 6 hours to get there. And I think you'll remember that, Brian. I actually called and asked your recommendation and guidance for us to go to the meeting, because we were newly appointed to the board, and you gave us your words of wisdom and what we should do, and that's what we did. But we didn't even know about the meeting, so that's why I was hoping, like you said, to find out, you know, long before an event or a meeting takes place, when they're asking for our participation.
One thought, if I could, on the businesses and the local businesses, I think it's important that from a commission perspective, we approach those businesses as collaborative partners,
Yes.
helping to allow the community into their space, but in an assistive way rather than in a punitive way.
Oh, absolutely.
Agreed, no,
Plenty of
agreed.
agencies out there that can be the punitive, and certainly don't want area businesses
No.
thinking that we're, you know.
That's a good point. That's a really good
No,
point.
that
we're
we're-
not-
No, I don't really have the light. I was joking.
No, I know you don't. But I'm
not
saying we just don't want to be like, we're on the lookout.
No.
And we're going to get you.
Right, exactly.
We haven't updated you.
Exactly.
Instead, I think there's there's programs through the state, there's resources we can connect them to here in town, and I think if we're saying, listen, it's easier than you think, here's a grant that's available through the state. It's easier than you think. Talk to the building inspector, he'll tell you exactly what it is, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and here's how easy it is to make some minor changes.
Yeah, and I think that that's exactly what Martin was sharing with you, because we don't want to be considered as enforcers, right? Because
No.
that's not our position,
No.
is to be an enforcer. But a lot of people didn't realize what we do when we become a resource. That's why I want to stress resource.
Resource is important. Hey, let me bring up the point that the AMVETS Hall, is that what it is? No, it's not AMVETS. It's American Legion Hall on Sanford Road.
Yes.
Maury May called one of us, I don't remember who, you, and said that they would like us to go down. Did you, was it you? They'd like us to go down because they wanted some information on trying to make their restrooms handicap accessible. That's what we're here for, you know, to go down there and help them, because he had no idea, and then it kind of opened up a can of worms, because it's an old building, he needs a lift to get the wheelchairs up to the hall, right? Because there's no way to get them up there.
Definitely true.
So now he's looking into the whole lift. He just wrote to me and he said, I'm looking for a company that puts lifts in. And I sent him a Massachusetts company. I'm sure there's several others. So my point is, to be that kind of resource is what we should be doing. You know, and
There's a-
I was so glad they reached out to us. Huh?
There's a company in Lakeville. that-
Yes, that's the one I sent.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
close.
But I think you brought up a good point, you know, like you said, we don't want people to think that
No.
we're here as an enforcement group. We're here as a resource.
Right.
And the other thing
Also
too,
important, excuse me, it's also important to remember and to advise on, we are an advisory body.
Yes.
exactly,
We can only tell you some, you know, give you maybe some advice, but we should not be in a situation where we are making any recommendations to them. Like these
Do you think given that lift company was not a good idea? Is that what you're saying?
These are the contractors that we know are available, but
Yeah.
you should make your own contacts and make your own decisions.
Yeah.
We are the resources to help maybe put you in touch with them.
We said that, for example, Hebert is doing the work down there, you know, Hebert Construction Town. And so we said, you need to talk to Hebert about it. He should know,
he's approved. He's an approved.
you know, he
contractor.
should know exactly what you're going to need here. But we still, by the way, I bought several of these. These are really cool. I'm going to pass it around. These are, it's called the ADA Accessibility Details. And it basically has details on door widths, bathroom widths, stairs, things that project out of the wall. And I actually gave it to Maury. You know, I think it's so he can look through it.
And they are ADA compliant, and then the other thing too is Boston actually has a list, if you wanted to research it by city or town, they do have companies that have registered with them where they are ADA compliant, and we would recommend those types of agencies to go on to their search, and, but most of them know all the CMRs based on construction and what they have to follow, so.
And we've discussed in the past that the state and even the town have programs to help people
That's great.
update their homes.
Yes.
And they have lists of
Yes, they do.
approved contractors. So Martin's
I'm dealing with them.
this process.
Don't get me into that because it's been terrible for me, but I will tell you about it. I have a personal situation going on with a couple of trusts that made it very different. A lot of paperwork. I haven't got there yet. It's been like 2 months I've been working on this. But you're right, they gave me a list of at least 10 contractors that work with the state.
Right.
Yeah.
And are approved by the state.
That's right. And they know how to work with the state. They know how to fill out all the forms and
Right.
so forth, yeah.
So if you're looking for a grant from the state, very, very good idea to use a contractor that is approved by
I agree.
the state to make those kind
And I
of
did, yeah.
alterations.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
we have to move along. I mentioned to some of you that I saw in the Shorelines a picture taken at the Annex Playground with Dana Stewart, the head of the Recreation Department, Martin, and Lisa. And then Dana submitted a very nice article to the Shorelines thanking our commission for the funds needed to purchase the vision board.
Yes.
If you haven't seen it, it was in one of the recent editions of Shoreline. And there's a very, very handsome picture of Martin and Lisa. Smiling.
It's so funny, they.
Look, you were all invited, you people who are jealous right now.
Yes,
You were
nobody
invited to be at the
came. Who
picture, and you
came?
did not go there. Sue?
Working.
Some
I
of
am
us work
retired,
for a living.
and let me tell you, it's glorious.
Sure it is.
Those things don't happen anymore. But anyway, no, I'm just joking.
Anywhere before.
Well, I don't want you know something, she's retired too, so that's why we do all this kind of stuff, so, you know,
Yeah, it was
we
people
understand,
vacation
don't,
week, So
you
we
know.
were out of town.
No, it's.
All right, Brian, let's go.
Next is the Open Space Committee. Lisa, you are our representative on the Open Space Committee. Steve is your advisor to you.
Yes, so, let me find the open space.
And the last time we talked about this, you were waiting for somebody on the Open Space Committee to say, oh yeah, this is what we're gonna do going forward. They still haven't been able to figure it out.
No.
Nope, actually, so the Open Space Committee, I was able to reach out to Sean Leach with Martin's support. And keep in mind, when we first entertained having someone as a part of that committee, they were actually in the infancy and planning stages, which they still are. Which is kind of nice, because they're getting together their foundation as far as how they're going to be making decisions, when the meetings are going to be. They do have a support system through another group that started with their rules and regulations and all of that. So we're getting involved with the on the ground level. And I was fortunate enough to now serve with Mr. Brewer, who's also one of our selectmen, and he also sits on the board for the Council on Aging. So I really feel that we're going to learn a lot, and once we actually have homework to do, so we're reading about all of our responsibilities now, and then basically once they format their procedures, because they're writing their procedures now, we'll have more of a clear-cut commitment and know-how, and then we'll be able to bring back positive participation with regards to supporting that organization.
Well, thank you. Just keep us posted as to what goes next.
I will.
I don't know if everybody saw this, but Jim Hartnett is retiring.
Yes.
And on the way in today, I saw Jim in the hallway and congratulated him on his retirement. And he's donated a lot of years to this town. Not donated, but he's worked for the town in various positions. And asked him what he's going to do when he's retired, and he doesn't know, and that's a problem. You got to know what you're going to do.
Yeah, no doubt.
Retired.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you see Jim, just offer you congratulations. He's
Sure.
a supporter of our commission over
Okay.
here.
Good guy.
Now, Jim was our ADA coordinator, which brings up an interesting.
Well, that was one of the things I wanted to talk.
Oh, did I cut you off, Mr.
No.
Mr.
No.
Executive
You
Director?
Everybody, I am the first among,
He's our
Equals.
chairman.
But seriously,
Seriously, on another note,
you know,
I was asked,
well, anyway.
okay.
So we're going to need an ADA coordinator, which is an interesting position because I did a little research into it, and Lisa did too. And it's supposed to be a town employee, so they can teach the town employees all about the ADA and, you know, accessibility and complaints and so forth and so on. But it can be a volunteer.
Well, in addition, so they have a paid position that is essential for every city and town. And that paid employee is responsible for addressing what do they call it, the department, if you are employed?
HR?
Yeah, they're a human resource department. They represent the people who actually work for the town. So if a town employee was to be discriminated against and unfortunately had a disability, then that's where the ADA coordinator comes in, and they're responsible for executing whatever, if it's a complaint or challenge that a particular individual may have. So the ADA coordinator in its official role should be and is a paid employee to represent the city or town. But in our research, they also recommended that we should have a volunteer that can have that position as a volunteer, not to replace the ADA coordinator that's in place, but to support not only us, but to actually know what that ADA coordinator is in fact responsible for and what our commission is responsible for. So they recommended if we did have a volunteer that is willing to go through the process, that there are classes, there's 42 classes that give you a well-rounded understanding of what actually that position is. And in doing so, I had the pleasure of talking to Mr. Hartnett about that. And Martin and I said that we would be willing to split the classes where he would take 21 and I would take 21, and that would give us the 42. So, or if anybody else is interested, also splitting it with us, that would give everyone a well-rounded idea based on one person trying to achieve all of this knowledge. And it's really as a resource and support for the person who holds the position. Because if it is in fact a town administrator, he has a lot of other responsibilities, right? So I just think it would be, I started the classes, they're very informative, very understanding, and it gives you all types of scenarios, and then of course, you can qualify for the certification if in fact you choose to take it.
But in the meantime, the paid ADA coordinator, how are we going to find out who that's going to be next? I mean, I think Jim kind of slipped in. I don't remember us ever having a vote or discussing it or anything else. And I'm appreciative of it, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, I don't remember him being appointed by our committee.
We wouldn't have any appointment right anyway.
No, we just assumed that it was going to be
The town planner.
town administrator.
So you guys think that the next town administrator will be the ADA
That'll be the
coordinator?
default.
Okay.
Now, we could certainly provide some advice or recommendation if we think there's better alignment somewhere else in town, but we would have no direct.
I would like to know that the planner, though, has had some training on ADA. You know, I mean, sometimes they just get the title and they know that if there's a complaint, they're supposed to take care of the complaint. And what Jim was very helpful in the transition plan, right? He helped us get a whole thing together there. So my point is, does every planner know about the ADA? You know, so that's all I'm saying. And if they don't, it'd be great if we did it as a volunteer thing, and then we could, like you just said, could support them.
Once we find out who the next town administrator is going to be, we as a commission should address that person.
I agree with you.
And Jim was the ADA, on the ADA transition team, he was the ADA coordinator, and we think that, and none of us can do it, but we think that the responsibility should fall to whoever that person's going to be, and then we have to make sure that they have sufficient.
I mean, isn't it possible that they could say no? Oh, no.
Well, if you look at the responsibilities of the person to be the ADA coordinator, there are certain responsibilities that they have to be able to access. One is they have to have access not only to the select board, but they have to have access to every single employee, because we don't have an HR department. So normally it's done through the HR department, but because we don't have that, Mr. Hartnett also wears that hat as well.
Right, right. It's a
So
lot.
if you look at, it can be someone that can be appointed by the
Select board?
town manager as
Oh,
well.
oh.
So there is a descriptive responsibility that that person has to not only train each individual, when they're hired by the town, to tell them what the disability, what's covered under the disability, the ADA for that particular employee. There's a whole profile of things that they have to follow. And so that can be either Mr. Hartnett, or it can actually be anybody that he appoints.
So I'm wondering if, as a commission, we draft a letter to the select board that asks them to consider that to be part of their interview questions
Oh, I like that.
when they start to interview for the new town administrator. Because
I'd like that.
That's how, I'm sure that it will, now that Jim's given his resignation and for his retirement, I'm sure they will need to be advertised. There'll be a townwide committee. Usually it's somebody from the select board, somebody from the finance committee, and then a few other committees in town that are represented that become the search committee. And they do the interviews. So I think we could draft a letter through the select board to the search committee, asking them to please keep the ADA compliance and the coordinated training program in mind when they interview.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And I also think, like, by taking the the classes that we're taking, will also give you insight as to why that is. Because, I mean, we don't even really know, to be honest with you, unless you know, Brian. Do you know what the responsibility of an ADA coordinator is?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, do you know?
Actually, no.
I don't know either, that's what I'm saying.
No, and
So-
we didn't. So
yeah.
that's why.
I don't know
when
either.
I contacted Boston, they said, these 42 classes, although can be informal and formal, for the paid staff person, it's formal. For the volunteer or people like ourselves that are on the commission, it's informal. So let's just say Mr. Hartnett, for all intents and purposes, had a question with regards to the responsibility of he needed to ask us a question. What Martin and I were discussing was, it would be nice to have viewed that particular section so that we could give our resource material to them based on that section. Not make the decision for them, but interpret, so this is the documentation that you're looking for.
I think we should just know that.
I think
Our
we should
knowledge,
know
I
it,
mean,
too.
we are the Disability Commission.
Yeah,
Hello?
we really should know what
Yeah.
everyone's doing.
We are running out of.
Oh, we're running out of time, is right. Okay, we'll get to everything.
Our next meeting, and this discussion is something we should continue at our.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
And the question is, when is our next meeting going to be? It would ordinarily be on July 28th of 2025.
Yes.
And sometimes in recent years, we have taken a break during the summer because it's hot and humid and yucky. So the question is, do we want to meet in July and August, or do we not meet? If we don't meet in July and August, our next meeting would be in September, then we'd have September and October, and then we take off November and December because of the holidays, which means that we would have two meetings, and then we'd be off until January. Oh, we have an observer.
Hey,
We have the timeout bell saying,
long-winded today.
let's go.
See, this way.
What do we want to do? Meet in July?
What do you guys want to do?
Or not meet?
I think we should meet. I think there's a lot of things that, like, we didn't even get through some of the things that we've been doing, and I think we're getting more and more involved in the community, and I just think we should meet. I think we should continue
Rick?
to meet.
What do you think?
At a minimum, we've got the accessible chair
Yeah.
follow up on, so I think it makes sense to do July and then see
And we'll see
where
what
that leaves us
happens.
for August.
Yeah, maybe take August off.
We'll see.
The other thing is, in the winter, we do take December and January, or December?
November and December.
We had,
Brian
in the
was-
past, we'd done November, December, but
Okay.
whatever.
I mean, just keep that in mind. So if you take 2 more months off, you're only meeting,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Well, we take off November, December, because it turns out the dates fall on.
Oh, yeah.
Very
Those-
close to.
That's what, in the last couple of years.
I think it's important, yeah.
Right around the holiday, yep.
All right, so we're going to stay on for July 20?
Yes, yes, I think
And then
so.
we can
Steve?
July.
Yeah, okay with you?
Yep.
Sue, okay with you?
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
July
Before-
27th.
Before we adjourn, can I just make one thing noted before we call the meeting?
Yeah, but make it quick, please.
So, I don't know if everyone's familiar with Cheryl Moniz. She was the young
Oh,
lady
this is serious.
who lost her parents in that tragic accident in Westport. They both passed. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that.
Yes.
It was a tragic accident on Old Westport Road. is it?
I don't know where it was, a little bit.
Yeah, no, Old Westport Road.
Old Westport Road.
Near
And
UMass.
unfortunately, she lost both of her parents. She is disabled, and she obviously is looking to our commission for some assistance. I am working on a couple of things for her that are covered by grants, but I'd just like to bring it to our commission that if in fact she does need anything, because now she's trying to manage everything alone, that we would be willing to help her.
What is she looking for?
Well, right now she's looking for, because she's actually deaf, so that's one of her disabilities. And I'm just sharing that with you because I am involved in getting her the hard of hearing specialized phone for her. She has an
TTY,
older
yep.
one, yes. And it looks as though that's going to be covered by a grant. But she was also looking for like a doorbell kind of thing where the lights would flicker And so that when someone comes to the front door and she is by herself, that she would be able to know that someone is at the front door. And I don't know if she actually has a security system. And I'm reaching out, obviously, to grants just to see what we can get. Martin
Yep.
was gracious enough to put me in touch with the
Commission.
organization for
Commission for the Deaf.
Commission of the Deaf, you know,
Yes.
because they're probably going to provide a
They-
lot of stuff. So
they'll-
I don't want to buy
They'll
stuff that they're
give
going to
her-
provide. Not that I want to
Exactly.
help, but,
There's
yeah.
a lot available through Commission for the Deaf.
That's right, okay.
So with that being said, I just kind of wanted to just bring that up just in case that if there's anything not
Covered.
she did
Right.
approach me and asked if we would consider helping her, and I just let her know that I would discuss it with you.
Of course.
So anything that's not covered.
My suggestion, let's see what we can get for her that's
Right.
covered from the Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing in
Right.
Boston, and any other kind of grant stuff, and then next month, we can discuss
Is,
if there's a specific
And I
need.
just wanted to bring it up because this actually just happened
Yeah.
just about a couple of weeks ago.
It was terrible.
So I didn't really want to wait till several months pass before I bring it.
Well, we can't give money directly to somebody, but in the past, we have purchased things like we had
Exactly.
a veteran whose therapy dog passed away. So
Right,
we-
right.
We donated some money for the purchase and training of a new therapy dog.
Correct.
So we could talk about purchasing or donating money for the purchase of
Right.
the Ring doorbell kind of thing.
Exactly.
So there's a couple of things. Mass Commission for the Deaf, do you have their phone numbers?
I
and
do.
that? Okay.
And I've already called them and they're assigning someone to us.
Okay, great. The other thing you can do is the Westport Fire Department has a program called, is it CARE?
CARE.
CARE.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Care program.
Yes.
Yep.
I wanted to say it started with a P.
I've seen that, I've seen that brochure, yes.
No, it is care.
So they have smoke alarms that are flash that they'll put in. They can purchase, or if she needs help purchasing, that might be something that commission could buy, where they put a lockbox outside of her home.
They actually get those free.
And when you buy them, you have to, I did one with my mom, it's a $50 for you purchase the lockbox from the
Oh,
town.
through the CARES? Through the CARES program?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought if you're disabled, you get it.
It might be, if you're disabled,
Yeah.
you might get it for free. I don't know.
And then the
Purchase one
fire
from the mall.
department will install.
Right, the fire department will
Yes.
install it.
That's very
They'll
good.
do, they have a lot of good resources.
Okay.
Good.
And the firefighter's name is,
Glenn. Oh, no.
no,
Anne Marie.
Pacheco, Anne Marie Pacheco.
Yes. Yeah.
One thing generally, just as food for thought, as we consider individual situations, I think we do our best work when it's for the community as a whole, because it's easier to support that. I think the slippery slope becomes when you support one, are you now obligated to support all?
Yeah,
And
good
do we
point.
want to be in a position where we say yes in one place, and then in another place, we have to say no? And if we never say no, now we're an open door for everybody. So I think just as a commission, it would be responsible to think about what that framework looks like for unique situations where we may be indirectly supporting a single individual or a single family versus the wider community as a whole. And do we need to work that out a little bit, just so we don't get ourselves backed into an awkward corner?
I agree.
No, I agree.
I agree,
She's
100%.
a volunteer for the Council on Aging, so the Council on Aging has come up to assist her in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that's great.
And I think it was just tragic that she lost both of her parents, unfortunately, in
Yeah.
that accident, so.
Yeah, I think if we provide her resources of where to look.
I agree.
And, things that she can, the Commission for Deaf and Hard of Hearing Disability is, they have a really robust program. And the Commission for the Blind does as well, but they have a pretty robust program, and they will be able to get her grants for TTY. They should be able to get her grants for, they also have, the fire department has a bed pad that can go to your fire alarm, so that when your fire alarm goes, it
Oh, that's
shakes
really
your bed.
cool, yeah? That's real
So
nice.
that wakes you up,
Good.
so, and they can help you purchase that, or,
That's actually provided by the
Commission on Disability,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So there's
no, absolutely.
good resources there.
Well, we have run way over our time.
Yeah. I have
Let's
to
close this baby up.
Back to
May
work.
I have a motion to adjourn, Mr. Vice Chair?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion is granted. We are adjourned until July 28th.
Okay.